Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us bright and early here at the City of Brownsville. It seems like we have been doing a lot of press coverage, communications lately, and we're excited as we start reopening our facilities and talking about the post-pandemic. This exciting stuff, all the stuff that we have been working behind the scene to make, to continue to innovate and push the ball forward with the City of Brownsville. I'd like to thank Mr. Bernal, our City Manager, Dr. Jesus Rodriguez, our TAC President, and our Commissioner, Golansky. There you are. Sorry, you moved on me. Thank you for joining us this morning along with our Honorable Mayor and Ms. Helen Ramirez, Deputy City Manager and CEO of GBIC. This is an exciting news and event, as Brownsville, we're known for having a lot of history, and now we're turning the tides because we're also making history. And with that said, I'll leave it to Mayor Mendez, who will kick us off in this morning's press conference and announcement of exciting news for Brownsville. Mayor.
Thanks, Felipe. Well, good morning, everybody. Today's a very exciting day for the City of Brownsville. It seems like an exciting day and a series of exciting days here this week. Just yesterday, we broke ground on the E-Bridge project, which is downtown. And Felipe talked about history, an important day in our history, but I'd like to talk about a couple other days in history. First, March the 10th of 1929, at this very place, Charles Lindbergh flew the first international mail flight. And when you think of Charles Lindbergh, you think of pioneers in aviation. Then there's another day that's a little, it's not exactly a day in our history, but it's a day that some of y'all may remember. It's October 1985. A gentleman named Emmett Doc Brown told Marty McFly, where we're going, we don't need roads. And that's kind of what we're doing here today. Because where this company is going, they don't need roads. So I'm excited today to introduce and announce that Paragon VTOL, Aerospace, will be relocating their manufacturing facility to Brownsville. We have their founder, Mr. Dwight Thanos Smith, here with us. He's just as excited as we are, and you'll hear from him in a little bit. But I just want to welcome everybody and thank you for joining us here at the Brownsville South Padre International Airport. The relocation of this company, Paragon, really furthers the creation of our infrastructure as a commercial new space ecosystem. And the City of Brownsville and its partners are committed to continuing to activate our economy through space industries, including manufacturing. And as we know, we have SpaceX and others. We've had the Space Channel. We've had Space Ventures now, a venture capital firm that's coming. Now with Dwight and Paragon, we've got our fourth company that's involved in this. I can tell you there's a lot more coming. This one, for me, though, is particularly exciting. It really, you'll hear Dwight talk about it, and you'll see a little bit of it. But this really gives you a glimpse of what the future is going to be. And the future is happening here in Brownsville. And this is, you hear about flying cars, you hear flying packages and flying things from one place to another, and those that may have been around in the 50s and 60s thought that we'd be there by now, but we haven't gotten there quite yet. But what we're doing here today and what we're announcing here today is really the first step in achieving that new space city, and really another step in what is the new Brownsville. So you have Elon Musk at Boca Chica, now you're going to have Dwight Smith and Paragon flying their vertical takeoff and landing craft. So just want to pass it on to, I guess Helen's going to be next, but Felipe, thanks. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Mayor. Now I'd like to introduce Ms. Helen Ramirez, Deputy City Manager and Greater Brownsville Incentives Corporation CEO and Executive Director. Ms. Ramirez.
Thank you, Felipe. Thank you, Mayor Mendez. The City of Brownsville, the Greater Brownsville Incentives Corporation welcome Paragon VTOL Aerospace to Brownsville. They will form an important part of our growing transportation and aerospace ecosystem here in South Texas. Safely testing out new urban air mobility and transportation, beginning with drones to reduce vertical takeoff and landing aircraft, is in the future of this city, our region, our state of Texas, and actually our nation. Yes, our nation. And why we were selected from competition of over 50 cities in Texas. Brownsville was because of our attributes, because of our open-mindedness, because of our innovation, and because of you, our community. So I'm very proud to represent here the City of Brownsville and GBIC because we're going places. The location of Paragon's manufacturing hub in Brownsville will change people's lives, will upskill our talented labor that we have, our workforce that is unique and is special. Many companies here have multi-generational people working in these manufacturing firms because one, the employer takes care of them and they see a path to success, and two, because there's a great culture in these companies that support these families and support future generations as they move up in the company and make our economy sustainable. So thank you to all the workforce that we have here in Brownsville. They will work in collaboration with our wonderful schools, with our tech colleges. Here we have TSC represented here, with our current industry partners and our other aerospace companies that the mayor of Brownsville has mentioned. So with this, I'd like to introduce Dwight Smith, the Chief Visionary Officer and founder of Paragon VTOL Aerospace, native Jamaican, community leader, visionary of clean mobility and technology internationally. Thank you, Dwight.
Thanks, Helen. Wow. Thank you, Mayor Mendez, Helen, everyone here present. I really appreciate it. This has been a long time coming. About 3 years ago, I decided to really commit to this opportunity. And before I get started, I'd like to say the reason why I selected Brownsville is because of the community. It's really important to me because this was a historic area where back in 1929, as Mayor Mendez said, Amelia Earhart stood right here and watched Charles Lindbergh fly across the border to the Mexico City, delivering the first airmail in the United States. And I think it's really significant. If you were actually a Pan Am pilot, you had to come here to train to fly anywhere. And so being here, it gives me a sense of history, but then you look at the people in Brownsville and you see a sense of opportunity to build together. And so getting here, I wanted to start out by immediately getting ingrained within the school system by providing full scholarship for STEM as a career path. Whether you work for Paragon when you graduate high school, I mean, you don't need a degree to work for me, you just have to have the desire to do something. Or you go on to college, it's really important that you really start with the foundation in order to build the house. And so, but that being said, I wanted to kind of work my way forward and do something truly unique by building a VTOL company here for manufacturing to create jobs, to create opportunities, and really kind of figure out how to build this thing together. What you'll find is there are a lot of people out there that are providing a lot of these VTOL initiatives, but I want to make sure that we get it done the proper way and not really mislead anyone. I mean, this is going to be a journey. We've already built our aircraft. We started with a small drone delivery program, and then we did like a crawl, walk, and run strategy, where initially our crawl strategy is going to be focused here in Brownsville. Starting this year, we're going to be doing package delivery to test the opportunity and make sure we work out all the bugs and kinks. I assume and I expect that there will be some challenges along the way, and I hope it fails in some aspect, so we can learn how to get the failures corrected early on so we can move forward to the next level. And then the next level would be our walk strategy. And that walk strategy would kick in next year, where we roll out our big VTOL, as you can see right there, and that will be used for heavy cargo delivery before you put people inside. I just don't feel comfortable saying that we're going to throw passengers inside right away until we understand how it operates carrying heavy cargo inside. My VTOL, the way I designed it is because of my influences. When I was 7 years old, I built my first glider aircraft, and when I was in high school, I was flying airplanes. In college, I went on and studied marine biology, but yet at the same time, if you look at the influence of my VTOL, it was inspired by an orca, or a killer whale, as most people call it. And so I kind of infused the two between aviation and my love for aquatic life, because I really care what happens to this planet. I also care about practicality. Our aircraft is designed to carry up to 5 passengers, a distance of over 500 miles. It is a hybrid powered system because we're using what is current with the battery, but we're also using some levels of biofuel because it's more practical. And I want to build a company and a technology based in practicality. It's a carbon fiber, composite fiber frame, and some of the things that we have on our VTOL enables it that when you walk up to it, it'll adjust to your body temperature, and which enables us to change the temperature as it flies through the air. And so being able to do that here in Brownsville is really important, and also to build a VTOL terminal here is going to give us the opportunity to once again reestablish Brownsville as the epicenter of aviation. And I believe that transportation is long overdue for an overhaul. I can see a time coming in the near future, within this decade, where children are going to ask their parents to tell them a story about traffic, because I don't want to be a part of the traffic jams. It just sucks. So what can I say? So anyway, with that being said, I thank you for the opportunity and for being here, and I look forward to great things to come.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. And with that said, I'd like to open it up for questions from the media. Please take the opportunity now to ask your questions. We'll go ahead and I'll hand the mic, and we'll hand the mic to the media on the back end. Test.
Brownsville, you said predominantly you're talking about the culture, but the culture of the history. Expand beyond that. Maybe some more data. Data. We had a company come to this airport one time, build a swimming pool and diving boards and that sort of thing. Really for a renaissance in the 70s. Put on the computer was this underground. How did yours, what really was the thing that one thing on the computer that said,
That is a great question. I get asked that, or I usually volunteer that quite often. The question was, why did I select Brownsville? What gave me that aha moment that said this is the place to be? The leadership. We had a great opportunity to send out an RFI through Governor Abbott's office throughout the state of Texas. And about 53 cities responded to that RFI. And we had a chance to narrow it down, and Brownsville made the short list due to the location, the demographics, the opportunities, and also the ability to test, certify, and eventually commercialize. It seemed more fitting to come to Brownsville, as at least in the short list. I then had the opportunity to speak with Helen Ramirez here, city manager, deputy city manager, Mayor Mendez, city manager Noel, Bernard, all the folks. And what I realized is that it felt right. It felt really homely. Then I had the chance to come down to Brownsville and drive around, and I saw they had these things. I never heard of them before. Helen had mentioned them to me on the phone, called resakas. And so that was a learning experience, because what I wanted to do is I want to make sure that when we roll this program out, it has to be safe. And I want to fly over water at least 90% of the time. In the event something happens, that we can crash it in the water. It's not going to cause property damage. It's not going to hurt people. We're not flying over someone's head and create privacy issues. And so I felt that Brownsville really set itself up properly for that. And then I looked at the location with regards to the other cities. My VTOLs are designed to fly virtually across the majority of the state of Texas. One of the challenging and frustrating things I have are connecting flights and also your time management. Being able to get here and fly to Padre, to fly to El Paso, or even bring it back to Austin, Texas, or anywhere in between. I would like to create a hub here right outside this airport across the tarmac there, and we will plans are in works right now to put that together, because I believe that it allows us the opportunity to really connect the dots, not just in the state of Texas, but all throughout the United States. And then also across the line and go over into Mexico. I think it's time to resume that. But using technology that allows you to have more privacy, and for the cost of an Uber, that would be more appropriate. And so that's what I'm focused on. And last but not least, doing it in a way that has a more sustainable impact on our planet, as opposed to something where I feel that it would create planned obsolescence with regards to elimination of if we decided to go with a heavy battery VTOL, then there are challenges with that, and I just didn't want to be associated with that. And so Brownsville gave me that opportunity. Oh. Multi-generational is the key. The ability to provide opportunities so someone can put food on their table, a roof over their head, clothes on their back, and walk outside with dignity. It's so important to me. It's just to create a job opportunity in of itself is a job. We want to provide careers. And so our manufacturing facility here will be state-of-the-art. I'm so excited about this opportunity because I've been keeping everything just off the radar. It's been privately funded. We've been really just trying to stay out of the limelight and let everybody else kind of focus on their marketing spiel. And just work on just doing the actual behind the scenes, the testing, the validation, to create an opportunity before we approach the governor's office to come here in Texas. And so being able to sit down and have constant interaction with the mayor's office and everyone else involved, that's truly unique in and of itself, and it really cuts a lot of the nonsense out and gives us the ability to execute, to provide those careers for those multi-generational families. You're most welcome.
Over here, sir. We just don't want.
What?
No, go ahead.
Hello, Dwight. My name is Steve Clark. I'm with the Brownsville Herald. Welcome to Brownsville.
Thank you so much.
Were financial incentives also involved? You mentioned the state meeting with the governor's office, and what kind of incentives, how much, and I assume that helped get your company here too.
That's an excellent question. I'm sure there are financial incentives involved. Haven't discussed the details of that to this point. I've actually jumped ahead of that and just really made the commitment based upon what I felt in my heart was right to be here in Brownsville. And so I'm sure over time we'll figure out what that will look like, but I'm definitely, Paragon is committed to Brownsville, and we're going to be here for the next century.
Okay. And so how many people will you employ right off the bat? What have you built so far as these flying machines, and where exactly will you be located?
Sure. The amount of folks that we'll employ off the bat, we're figuring that out right now. We're doing a crawl, walk, and run strategy, so we're going to start with the light package drone delivery program, and that will be for what I call the 3 M's, which are meals, mails, and medicine. And so 5 pounds or less, 10 pounds or less, we're going to start out with a 2-mile distance from a retail or a hospital or et cetera location. And the goal behind that program is to understand what works in a real-world setting and what does not work. It's a lot easier to do it in a test lab and say we flew our aircraft or our drone and we were successful. It's another thing to get out there and get it done in the real-world example. So we're going to start that this year. There'll probably be anywhere between 30 to 50 openings to start out initially. But that will, once we understand where we go with that, we'll ratchet it up. And so if you're talking about a major retail partner, the drone delivery could create hundreds of jobs the minute we start to implement that program, once we have received or identified the proper metrics to be successful. With regards to the testing so far, what we've done, we've actually tested our products all over the world. When I started this company, I self-funded this company. And so we had consultants, 98% of the business was outsourced. So we've been testing products as far as Kazakhstan, all the way through, because some of the things that we do, you can't do here in the FAA without proper consideration and permits. And so we've done small drones, medium-sized to large drones. Some of that was done using off-the-shelf. The majority of it was off-the-shelf parts. But we're at a point right now where we need to do a lot more validated testing. And so you're going to see a lot more of that over the next 6 to 12 months here in Brownsville, in an area that will be designated strictly for that purpose. And that will be for the large drone, and then there'll be another area designated for the small drone as well.
But you'll set up shop on the airport property here or something?
Absolutely. So we're looking at the land within the airport, and we're going to build our manufacturing facility, one up, and then we'll also do our operations for our terminal, our flight air traffic controllers. One of the things that makes Paragon unique is we're not a drone company. We're actually a software technology company. That it just so happens that some of our byproducts are drones or VTOLs for heavy lift. And so when you use that, there are different applications based upon the customer. And so in order to make this thing viable and for this entire industry, what we're doing is we're creating jobs just for manufacturing, but also for the future air traffic controllers. I'm sure if you're not aware, there has been a shortage of that. And so to add more to the airspace, that would be quite challenging for the FAA. So we're developing new air traffic controllers, and I actually created the flight management software system, and that was the background on that, because I'm not a coder, I don't do computer programs, was done by the co-developer, co-founder of AWS from Amazon. And so we've been having some really cool folks involved in the program, and then we're also developing the vertiport, which is abbreviated for vertical airport, which allows you to land and take off and get serviced. And so that's truly important with the vertiport. And so with that being said, we actually have a large capital commitments north of $1 billion just for the microgrids that will power the vertiports. And so we're excited about that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Gracias. Hola, buenos días. Mi nombre es Marta Alicia López y vengo de Telemundo 40. Las preguntas mías serán en español. Ya las contestaron en inglés, pero me gustaría escucharlo en español. ¿Cuántos son los empleos, que tienen proyectados que se generen para la ciudad de Brownsville con esta nueva empresa?
Para empezar, la empresa, como tienen varias fases de producción, empiezan con 30 a 50 empleados porque empieza con un drone, el drone es pequeño, se va a probar de una manera segura dentro de la ciudad de Brownsville, utilizando lo que tenemos, un recurso muy interesante y único para la ciudad, que son las resacas. Y de una manera en que poco a poco el drone puede cargar con más peso. O sea, empezamos con 5 libras, de allí podemos llegar a 20, a 200 para poder ayudar a empresas con lo que es su producción o lo que necesitan en empaquetación y esas cosas. Entonces, de ahí, cuando se va probando con más ciudades y más zonas comerciales, eso se va incrementando el número de empleo que va a ofrecer la empresa y con su plataforma de producción y logística que va a estar o se va a ubicar dentro del aeropuerto de la ciudad de Brownsville.
Gracias. Y la última pregunta por mi parte, la importancia para la ciudad de Brownsville de la llegada de nuevas empresas.
Pues, alcalde, ¿quiere...?
Nada más quieren que hable yo, ¿verdad? Ok, bueno, esa es una pregunta fácil y la respuesta para mí también es fácil. Nosotros nos estamos estableciendo como el lugar donde estas compañías quieren ponerse, ¿verdad? Ya tenemos SpaceX, obviamente, tenemos otras compañías que han llegado y ahora con esta compañía yo creo que van a haber otras compañías que se van a empezar a venir a Brownsville, pero para mí es importante porque tenemos la tecnología, vamos a tener muchos más trabajos, vamos a ver más personas que llegan a Brownsville para vivir, para trabajar, y vamos a seguir como el líder del espacio y tecnología, no nada más en el sur de Texas, pero nos estamos estableciendo como uno de los líderes en el estado también.
Gracias.
Good morning. This one's also for the mayor, Monica with Channel 5. Looking to see, Mayor, if you could just tell us what you foresee as far as the economic impact down the road, 5 years, 10 years. What do you see this bringing to the city of Brownsville and the whole area?
Well, it's kind of hard to predict that because if you'd asked me maybe 2 years ago when I first got here, I think my answer would have been not as big and bold as it would be now. We've seen SpaceX get a $2 billion plus NASA contract. They've got 1,400 employees now. They're going to bring more. They're expanding their footprint as well. Then we've got some other companies that have relocated here. We have now a venture capital firm that's really putting us in touch with some really innovative people that are some of the biggest investors in the space industry overall. Now you get Dwight here, who's already got $1 billion capital commitment in some of his microgrids. Not to mention what he's doing on the VTOL side, right? So you start seeing that. You start seeing the amount of jobs that are available. We're having a job here, in a week?
Yeah, June 28th.
June 28th, plug for our job fair. So we're having that job fair that's looking to fill already about 1,500 jobs. So when you bring Dwight, you bring SpaceX, you bring all these other factors into the picture, we're crossing our name off one of the poorest communities in the U.S. list. And that was my goal as mayor. That was one of the lists I wanted to cross our name off of. I'm tired of hearing about us being one of the poorest communities in the U.S. because I think after what we're seeing now, at least over the last year, we're going to be off that list pretty quick. Another one is we're one of the least connected communities in the U.S. as well. We're going to cross our name off that list. We've got a broadband fiber initiative that's going to be launching here in the next couple months. So what's happening here is innovative. I like to kind of use a CERT tagline for the city. It's culture, innovation, and people. The culture is what we're known for. Innovation is what we're going to be known for and what we're starting to show people that we are doing. And then the people. We can't do it without the people, right? Without community partners like Texas Southwest College, UTRGV, and others, I mean, we're really seeing the impact that this is having. So you ask me 5 or 10 years down the road, I can't quantify that, but it's going to be huge.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Any more questions? All right, that will conclude our press conference for today. Thank you so much for coming in. Thank you, Commissioner Tetreault. See you back there. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.